Hello, and welcome to the first part of my ePortfolio guided tour. My name is Alexis Mauricio, and I'm currently a MET student in the Master of Educational Technology program, or MET program, at the University of British Columbia. It is a pleasure for me to take you through a navigational tour of my ePortfolio on 21st century learning and teaching. This is a documentation of my learning journey throughout the MET program, as well as the applications to my professional context. The purpose of the tour is to introduce you to the layout, as well as my rationale behind the organization of the site. On the home page, you will notice jazz music playing in the background. This helps to form the metaphor component of my ePortfolio, which I will explain later. If you wish to pause the background music on the home page, or on the framework page, where it also plays, please feel free to do so. The pause button is located on the left-hand side of these pages. I have also provided shortcuts on the home page to take you directly to 3 elements of my site that will help to start you on your exploration. I have a shortcut to the guided tour, the overview, and the framework. As well, you will see a navigation bar at the top of each page that will take you directly to certain pages of the site. I tried to keep the navigation as simple and intuitive as possible, so you may go back to any part of the site by clicking on the back button within your browser. Also, please note that hyperlink text is in bold italic font throughout the site. There are points where I hyperlink to various pages or to other websites. You will also notice that there is a space provided for comments. Please feel free to offer any feedback that you may have on my ePortfolio. Now, let's get started. For the guided tour, I will be using the navigation bar at the top, moving from left to right. The next page I will take you to is my bio page, which explains my background, my current professional context, and some of my beliefs about technology teaching. I teach at an International Baccalaureate, or IB World School. Specifically, I am an MYP, or Middle Years Program teacher, in Math, Humanities, and Language Arts. After reviewing one of the MYP documents titled Principles into Practice, I realized that its instructional framework has strong links to 21st century learning and teaching. This forms a large part of my teaching philosophy, which is what I ended up using as the theme of my ePortfolio. Now I have a hyperlink provided to the MYP IBO site if you wish to explore it further on my second paragraph. I also included my statement of intent at the bottom of my bio page. I wanted to show this here because there are connections to what I wrote in this statement to several of my reflections and artifacts in my ePortfolio and future areas that I want to explore. I will just open this up for you, and when you click on it, it opens up in the same window. Now here, one of my questions in this statement was, how can we effectively develop critical thinking, logic, and reasoning skills in students when they can become easily reliant on data flow? I ended up working with this question in some of my coursework, along with another question later on in this statement related to the gender gap in technology. So there's definitely a connection here. Now, going back to the biography page, we will now transition to the overview page. Here, I wanted to introduce visitors to the guiding theme of my ePortfolio, 21st Century Learning. I begin at the top by describing my mission statements, first as an educator and then as a learner, and how 21st century learning fits within these statements. 21st century learning and teaching is a framework, as explained in the video clip here, that describes the skills and expertise such as critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration, and information literacy that individuals need to develop to be successful in the future. For my ePortfolio, I chose on a specific model of 21st century learning, and it was proposed by Lambert back in 2002. He proposed 4 models of the learner of the future. Now, in this 4th paragraph on this page, I have hyperlinks to my pages, the collaborator, the wise analyzer, the free agent, and creative synthesizer. This is related to how I have grouped my artifacts and reflections, which again, I will explain later when we get to the framework page. Also on the overview page, in the middle here, you can see that I've included a concept map, and this details how my artifacts relate to different components of the theme, the 4 models of the 21st century learner. I'm going to open it up here so you can see that at the top of the concept map, I start off with the MET program and how it helped to facilitate the growth of certain 21st century learning and teaching skills. And then from here, 4 models of the 21st century learner are derived from those learning and teaching skills. So the 4 models again: collaborator, wise analyzer, free agent, and creative synthesizer. What I did was I color-coded each of these models so that you can clearly see how each of my artifacts associate or connect with that particular model of the 21st century learner. If you look at collaborator as an example, the collaborator gains knowledge through social interactions, which is a tenet of constructivism. From this, I grouped 2 artifacts, my eTech 565 Learning Management System site, as well as my eTech 510 Group Design project, as these projects were dependent on my social interactions in getting through the final product and also in the creative process. So it was dependent on my skills as a collaborator learner. As you can see on this concept map, I have about 2 to 3 different artifacts linked to different models of the 21st century learner. Now, going back, hopefully on that concept map, you're able to see how I grouped the artifacts, as the process of creating those artifacts required me to embody a certain model of the 21st century learner. Now, on the overview page, I just want to take you down here to look at the objectives. I decided to include my objectives here because they have all become my outcomes. If you read this on your own, you can see, for example, if I look at the first objective, one of the reasons why I created this ePortfolio was to demonstrate transformative growth in learning, as well as metacognitive processes in the MET program. I believe this has also become my outcome as well, along with the other objectives listed here. Now, onto my audience. I describe my intended audience on this page as part of the overview as well. I started this ePortfolio at the same time my own students were creating their growth portfolios for their student-led conferences. And I often use previous student ePortfolios as exemplars to help them get started. Now, I have something tangible to share with my students in future years, as I can get them to see the value of reflecting on their own work in a more professional context. So they are a big part of my audience for this ePortfolio as well. Finally, at the bottom of the overview page, I've included my eTech 590 ePortfolio proposal, as this was an effective guide for the organization and format of my ePortfolio. Next, going back to the navigation bar at the top, I will take you to the framework page. Now, I decided to present my ePortfolio in a dual structure, meaning themes embedded in a metaphor, to help add more depth and layers to my overall theme, 21st century learning and teaching. I incorporated a metaphor that related to an area I'm passionate about, music. I have a classical piano music background, but I have always wanted to broaden this by learning different styles of music, such as jazz, where, learning this type of music is not necessarily as structured as classical music. I have visited many different jazz bars and seen many different jazz performances, and I am always fascinated with not only the caliber of performance from the musicians and vocalists, but also their talent, flexibility, and improvisation skills, as well as their ability to play off each other. This is something that typically does not happen in a very structured classical music performance, and I feel that aligns well with the 4 models of the 21st century learner. So on the framework page, I specifically explain the 4 models of the 21st century learner here. Again, hyperlinks are provided to each of these pages within my site. I have also included a description down below here of how the metaphor and themes interweave and flow together, and I encourage you to read this explanation so you can see why I chose the metaphor of a jazz band ensemble to link up with the 4 models of the 21st century learner. Now, going back up to the top, if you notice at the bottom, if you hover over the framework button, you'll see also the 4 models of the 21st century learner. I'll just explain how I've organized these pages as they are similar to each other. If we look at the collaborator page, I explain at the very top as to how a jazz performance involves collaborative communication skills. Then, later on after that, it is followed up with a general explanation of how the collaborator-learner model connects with the artifacts presented on this page. So on this page, I talk about my 565A Learning Management System site on digital citizenship, along with my eTech 510 group design project. Now within these artifact reflections, I link back to my theme of collaborator learner and how I use those skills in designing those projects. On the other framework pages, I follow the same formats on the WISE Analyzer, the Free Agent, and the Creative Synthesizer. After all of the framework pages, I'll go to the assessment rubric page here. The assessment rubric I've posted is what will be used to evaluate my ePortfolio. Now, in true backwards design fashion, this was created at the beginning of the process to help provide structure, direction, and remind me of my objectives, and I found this quite useful. Finally, going here, I've outlined my future areas for research and development on this page, along with professional goals as well at the bottom. And as you will see, the areas I would like to develop more have a direct relation to the work I have showcased in this portfolio. My professional goals help to extend the learning and skills I have acquired in the MET program, and they're outlined on this page. Thank you for taking the time to view my guided tour. I invite you to watch my second video on my reflections of my ePortfolio right after this.